My work is contemporary and is abstract from east to west. There's not many people understand all these forms. You have to think about how these pieces have that invitation to the viewer. If I just making sculpture as the same as everybody, it will be waste.
As China's tragic struggle drags into its third year, we present these dramatic pictures from the Chinese side.
Abstraction is how I use material and see the form in a different generation. I respect the material. I think there's a lot of story and the pieces and bring all together to make the piece be alive. I have to prepare myself to come into the studio and to work with them because it's so fragile, and I have to study my maquettes. And from those maquettes, the balance and the weight, everything, I had to have a full understanding of the entire piece. Like making a large sculpture requires the strong clay body, and how I choose different clay body. These two different clay bodies, they have different strength. The biggest sculpture I've made, about 500 to 700 pounds. But when all these pieces start to move into the kiln, of course, every step is unknown.
The flower of Japan's army marches north in full strength through the town.
China's army is ill-manned, ill-trained, and ill-equipped, but still it struggles on.
My grandfather he died very young. He was 4-star general, but he was killed by Japanese. Japanese cut off his head. My grandmother, she went to Japanese camp by herself and asked her husband's head back. They respect my grandma. And so when my grandmother walked out of the Japanese camp, Japanese salute her all the way throughout when grandmother walked out of the camp. So after that, my grandmother insists to sew his head back to his body in order to have a full body of burial. My father always told me the story about him, about my grandmother, and when I was growing up, and how I need to continue in order to honor my grandfather and grandmother, and trying to achieve through my own artistic creation.
The Chinese people fought and still fight on.
A 3D piece, a piece of sculpture, they always have a front and back. But for once the piece is out there and being presented, and you have to consider all the angles. Different angles happens, and you want to pay attention to details. For structure issues, we cannot get into everything we like. Any sculpture can be any color. More importantly, is this color can express what are you trying to express. So when we make a form, that's the body. And then once color in, that's the blood. Is sometimes you feel, no, this is not working out. But I think it's giving you an opportunity to see outside of your planning. Beauty in our life and influence our life into become who we are and to make us stronger. I think this combination of how we understand the world. The biggest body of work I have been making is Mother and Child. And I think this Mother and Child series is most important in my life. Our house, in the living room, my mother had a classroom with flower arrangement design. And how I watch all the students come in with all the forms and the lines. She trained me and asked me to look things. I think that influence gradually formed my aesthetics. I started bring all this technique and started making my own sculptures. I came to US in the first year and my mother was confirmed. She had Parkinson. So the money goes to hospital. And I have to support myself. And I decided to continue my study and life. And my family members were trying to tell me, stop the study and just come back. I didn't have money to go home, but my teacher in Taiwan sent me a ticket to visit my mom. I explained what I was doing and to do the work I do. And then she just encouraged me and to do the best I can and to do what my vision wants to accomplish. The memory of my mother always feel she's around me and I can use my emotional expression and the material to honor her. Since growing up, I knew what I want to do, and when I decided to leave Taiwan and come to US, I already made up my mind to be the only son and continue my family tradition.